The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to All You Can Eat. It's the podcast about deliciousness. I am your host, Rob Rosenthal, coming to you live from America, and in America from Miami Beach. Today is the 10th day of March, 2021. Welcome, everybody. And I say from America because the beauty of going live is that you can hear this podcast from anywhere in the world. If you have, a computer, an internet connection, a handheld, whatever. And I know that myself because earlier today I was spanning the globe, literally. There's an app that lets you kind of span around the globe and pick a station from basically, everywhere in the world. Like any place that... I was listening to radio from Russia, Mozambique. I heard radio from West Africa. Great music in Spain. And so, I guess the advent of technology allows us to hear what's going on in other parts of the world at a moment's notice. And so you're listening to a guy coming to you from America, Miami Beach, America, live, where anything can happen, including mistakes and screw-ups. But that's not the point. Let me introduce myself for those of you who don't know, and then let's get delicious. It turns out Miami is a good place to get delicious. Now, I'm Rob. I spent 25 years in the international advertising business. The best part of it was that I was able to travel around the world. The best part of traveling around the world was not only meeting people, but sitting down for a meal with them. And that's especially exciting when you're a guy that likes to eat and and that's me. And I also have myself a professional culinary degree, which has enabled me to spend time writing about food, lecturing about food, making presentations, and I wrote a cookbook. And that's called Short Order Dad, One Guy's Guide to Making Food Fun and Hassle-Free. So that's me. I come on to the podcast each week. This is episode number 104. And try to spend as much of our hour together as possible in a way that is informative, entertaining, and hopefully will inspire you to try something, to eat something, to cook something, to buy something, taste something, whatever it may be, because part of my program is devoted to making recommendations. Sometimes there are things to eat, things to cook, things to buy, things to cook with. Other times, spices, cocktails. Today, for example, apropos of absolutely nothing, I am staring at a cup of tea that I am brewing myself. It is from a company called Celestial Seasonings. The particular brand in question is Bengal Spice. I have it every night. Why? Because the taste is extraordinary. Got that kind of, Far Eastern hit of kind of cinnamon, star anise, those flavors. So it's a slight spiciness, a slight sweetness from the cinnamon. It's a beautiful cup of tea. Anyway, I recommend things. And then we talk about things that are delicious. And tonight I'm coming to you solo. It's me, myself, and I. Next week, I will have a guest. Next week's guest, actually, is a guy named Danny Meyer, who you might have heard of. If you know anything about the American restaurant business, he is certainly one of the leaders of that business, and highly recognized and rewarded, and very serious and terrific guy. That's next week. But for this week, because I come to you from Miami Beach, where I've now spent the last, I want to say, 3 months, I'm able to tell you something about what's going on down in Miami Beach. No matter where you are, whether you're listening in America or you're tuned in from anywhere else in the world, I'm at the southern part of Florida. In the middle of winter, the 3 months that we spent here are winter time, but the temperature is basically somewhere between 70 and 80 degrees. What I've noticed about Miami, and literally right on the Atlantic Ocean here, is there are 3 things that you always get in Miami Beach, as far as I'm concerned. One is traffic. One is about 15-mile-an-hour winds every day. There's not a day that there's not a 15-mile-an-hour wind, and I know because when I go outside to, bike or run or whatever, it's always against me. But Miami Beach, it's also quite stunning to be on the water. It's beautiful, and as I said, the temperature is generally in the 70s, and I'm here, in the middle of the winter. It would be much warmer and more humid, obviously, come summertime, but certainly, there's people in the ocean here every day, whether it's December, January, or February, and that speaks something about the weather. The other thing about Miami Beach is the internationalism. I used to work in a business where I spent a lot of time with people from South and Central America, Latin America, as they would call it. I will tell you that Miami was oftentimes a base for us to meet, because Miami is, at least half Latino. Whether people, a lot of Argentines here, Venezuelans, Cubans, obviously, huge Cuban community, Brazilians, and Russians. I mean, they're coming too. They're from another part, obviously. But anyway, the place is, I get a chance to speak Spanish every day. Across the street from where I am in Miami Beach, there's a bakery. It's a Venezuelan bakery. They make a killer chicken soup. Right next to them is a Colombian restaurant. So, you want Colombian food, you got that there. Down the block, you have a couple of Cuban restaurants, that goes without saying. So it's not only rice and beans and pot roast and shredded pork and ropa vieja and lovely Cuban food, but there was a time that I went out every single morning to get Cuban coffee, which is strong and really delicious. Really a super coffee. Really look forward to having that. You have Argentine, a place across the street, both a restaurant that specializes, I guess, in steak. That's common for Argentine food. Then you have the Argentine bakery, where you can go in and eat your empanadas. And then there's a Peruvian restaurant also across the way here, like a walk from where I am. And if I'm going to be honest about it, it is not a beautiful looking restaurant. It's not set in a particularly elegant locale. I mean, there's a program here called Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. This is more of your kind of dive. I mean, there's no money invested in the place, but holy wow, the food is pretty spectacular. And by the food, and now I've gone, 3-4 times. By the food, I mean the ceviche and the octopus, the grilled octopus. I want to talk first about the ceviche because the Peruvians are known for it. It is essentially a mix of fish and seafood that ends up being cooked, if you will, cooked in kind of air quotes by the lime juice, by the citric juice that it's essentially mixed with. So you have beautiful pieces of whatever local raw fresh fish there are that are mixed with maybe some squid, maybe some shrimp, maybe some octopus, scallop, whatever fresh fish and seafood is available. And then it's lime juice It's some sliced red onion. It's some spice if you like it spicy. There are versions that are made which look kind of white and milky because they're made with what's called leche de tigre, tiger's milk, which has no milk and it has no cream, it has no dairy. It's literally made with kind of fish and fish stock and you can use clam juice, so it's white, but it's super delicious. And it's used essentially as the bath that cooks, if you will, the raw fish and the shrimp with a slice of onion, maybe a little, hot pepperish, maybe some cilantro. It's gloriously delicious food. It also comes in a version that is very yellow because it's made with something that they call ají amarillo, which is a kind of a yellow pepper that is unique to Peru, I would say. And it's the same. It's cooked, if you will, in this kind of in the citric juices together with this yellow pepper. It is stunningly delicious food, and I'll say probably the most taste for the fewest calories, if you will. There's nothing in it. There's nothing fried. There's no mayonnaise. There's no dairy. There's no breading. There's no pasta involved. There's nothing in it that is burdened by calories. It's a glorious dish. Love the heck out of it. And they do, however, serve it with some corn, some like little corn kernels that have been crisped up, probably fried, and some larger kernels of what I think is, I don't know, what I think is a corn, or it could be hominy. So that you have this combination of kind of tastes and textures on the plate, ceviche. So you get that down here among the many foods that you get down in Miami, Florida, and I will also include on the list something called stone crabs. You don't know stone crabs. I'm going to say that you want to know stone crabs because, for my money, of all of the fancy, of all of the unique, of all of the expensive, of all of the kind of richest, most delicious seafood that you can get, and I'm talking here about prawns, I'm talking about lobsters, I'm talking about all of that kind of stuff. To me, the stone crab is the king, and there are also Alaskan king crabs, crab legs, which are fantastic. But to me, the stone crab is a thing of beauty. The stone crab is, and it's local to Florida, and it comes in every day. And I think they have to pull the joints off. They have to pull the legs off the crab. The crab goes back in the water and regenerates. This is one of the you want to talk about sustainability. They go fishing for stone crabs. They pull off the crabs, and the rest of the crab goes back in the water and regenerates that leg that you're now going to pay a lot of money for, because stone crabs, which I believe are pretty much steamed on board, then brought in here to Miami and local wherever they go, they're expensive. I'm not gonna kid about that. This is a treat food. This is not an everyday food. But and the funny part of it is, and all that money that you spend, they're not spending it because they're cooking it in that restaurant. They're literally taking it from the dock, where it's, like I said, it's already been kind of steamed up. They bring it over to the restaurant. They crack it a couple of times, send it to your table with some kind of a mustardy mayonnaise sauce, which is just perfect for it. And it's as good, sweet from the sea as any seafood that you can get. I love those things. And you get those down here in Miami, Florida. There's a very famous place in Miami. It's called Joe's Stone Crab. In fact, it's probably, if not the highest grossing restaurant in America, generally year in, year out. Because they're feeding hundreds and hundreds of people every night with those stone crabs, which are not inexpensive. And I did mention the Cuban, and I have the coffee, and I got to say, I got to get myself a Cuban sandwich before I get back to New York, because the Cuban sandwich for me falls on the list of, top 10 worldwide sandwiches. And I'm talking about, I'm talking about everything. Yeah. There's sandwiches that are good in many parts of the world. And one of those on my top 10 is the Cuban sandwich in Miami, which is composed of a slice of ham, a slice of cheese, a slice of roast pork. And, they slather some, yellow mustard on the thing. And then that thing, it gets pressed in their bread, which is good bread, and it gets pressed so the bread on the outside has that crispiness to it. On the inside, it has the chewiness. You got ham, you got pork, you got Swiss, you got mustard, and the pickle. Don't forget the pickle. But the sandwich is one of those that even with all that stuff inside it melts in your mouth. It's like one of those kind of sandwiches. And then it's just, it's got all that flavor. Beautiful. Excuse me, Miami. I'm going to have I'm going to have a sip right now. I'm going to pour myself right now some Bengal spiced tea. Turned on to me by my very own cousin. It's good straight up. A hit of honey would not hurt. Where am I here? Okay, we're back. Right, Miami ceviche, stone crab, Cuban sandwich. Oh, and that's the other thing that's showing up here for me. There's like a market that you can go to, and you get yourself some stone crab, because you will now save a ton of what it's going to cost over at the restaurant, and you don't have to cook it. You just bring it home and eat it. But they're also selling pink shrimp that come from the Gulf of Mexico. Now, this is unusual in the sense that if you get shrimp pretty much anywhere, anytime, and I like to get it. I'm big on cooking shrimp because it is, you can flavor it any way that you want because it cooks super quickly, like 4 minutes, generally speaking, and because it's delicious. 1,000 ways to cook it, a ton of ways to flavor it. It cooks quickly, but generally when you buy shrimp almost anywhere in this country, that is America, it's frozen because it's coming from someplace far away. However, there's shrimp coming out of the Gulf. There's pink shrimp over here that are local. They are sold to you fresh, not frozen. And I'll tell you what, it makes a difference. What do you need to cook it? You need olive oil, you need sliced garlic, you need salt, and that's it. I'm talking shrimp, salt, olive oil, garlic. You want to make it you want to add another dimension to it, so you have some red pepper flakes. You want to finish it off with a squeeze of fresh lemon juice. That's all you need. That's great. That stuff is just great and delicious. That's down here too. So, yeah. All in all, Miami Beach, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta say, nice place to be. You got the weather, you got the food, and you got a little traffic. But you can spend a lot of time outside, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, let's move on to a completely different subject, and I know this is coming kind of abruptly, but lately there's been a lot in the news about scrambled eggs. I love an egg. I love 2 eggs, and I am not averse to 3 eggs. And I mostly like them as sunny side up because I like, when the yolk bursts and I can chop it up with a nice piece of toasty bread. I'm not a huge scrambled egg guy, but when scrambled eggs are made well, and this is what it all boils down to. When scrambled, listen, some people like them soft, some people like them hard. They have to be soft for me. I'm not interested in hard scrambled eggs, but when I like that texture when they're creamy, custardy. And there's a way to, there's a way to do that. There's a way to make them like that. And to me, I watched, you watch some of the expert videos online of people doing scrambled eggs, and essentially what it boils down to is you put kind of like a knob of butter and and a couple of eggs together in a pan and put it over the heat and just keep whisking. And then as you see that it's getting firmer, you take it off the heat and keep whisking. And, you get some creamy eggs. Anyway, I mention it because I am now going to give you the 6 tips for perfect scrambled eggs. If you're the person who likes a scrambled egg, I found some of these not surprising. I found some of them eye-opening. For example, here's what you need to do if you want to get nice scrambled eggs. Number 1, salt your raw eggs. Adding salt to the raw eggs makes for more tender curds, in the same way that soaking a piece of pork in a brine denatures its protein so that it's better able to hold on to moisture, blah, blah, blah. All you need to know is you start by salting the eggs, all right? The second thing you need to know is, even before you start to scramble them, this is number 2, don't overbeat your eggs. Physical agitation usually destroys structure, but it also unfolds proteins that once unfolded bond together and form a tighter structure, which gives you a tough scramble. So, you don't want to accelerate that unfolding process before the eggs hit the heat. Heat them until they're just combined with the gentler action of a fork rather than a whisk. How you like that? Don't say you don't come on here and learn. Number 1, salt your raw eggs. Number 2, don't overheat them. Number 3, this is good. Add a couple of extra yolks to serve. This is if you're not necessarily doing it for yourself, but rather you got some company, right? So add a couple of extra yolks. Try to serve 4 people. We use 8 eggs, that's 2 per person, plus 2 yolks. These extra yolks not only enrich the egg flavor, but they also provide extra fat and emulsifiers that raise the coagulation temperature to stave off overcooking. Number 4, you thought 3 tips was all there was? Ladies and gentlemen, the 4th tip for your, what are they calling it, perfect scrambled eggs. Your 4th tip, half and half is the best dairy option. Okay, so we tested milk, half and half, and heavy cream. Long story short, go with the half and half. It does the right job of creating creaminess and fluffiness. Number 5. Now, this is one that is it's important to know. Let's put it that way. Number 5, use the right size skillet. Unless you're cooking a lot of eggs, the usual 12-inch pan provides too much surface area for the eggs to cover. Swapping it for a smaller 10-inch one keeps the eggs in a thicker layer, which traps more steam and produces healthier, heartier curds, that is. To serve 2 people, we recommend 4 eggs, 1 yolk, and an 8-inch skillet. So that's pretty cool. Number 6, it says use a dual heat cooking method. And one of the things I will say about savory cooking in general is that heat management is a big part of it. Here's how it plays in eggs. Using only low heat won't give you pillowy curds. And using only high heat will overcook the egg, so you have to use both. Start the egg mixture over medium-high heat, scraping along the bottom and sides of the skillet until your spatula just leaves a trail on the bottom of the pan. Then turn the heat to low and fold the eggs over each other until they're clumped and just slightly wet. And there are 6 tips to get yourself some perfect scrambled eggs. And I didn't mention, incidentally, that, starting with good eggs is important too. I can't say that I'm going to tell you what good eggs are. I'm just saying good fresh eggs are always going to yield better scrambled eggs than not good fresh eggs. I know that sounds kind of like a sage observation of the obvious, but that's what it is. There has been much talk. As long as we talked about the eggs, we should talk about the chicken, since we don't know which came first. I'm going to tee up here again. Keep my throat moist with this fabulous Bengal spice tea. Excuse me. Now I'm going to sneeze. That takes time. Okay, I'm back with you now. I have coughed. I have sneezed. This is live. You can't edit it. This is just the way it goes. You know what you don't see a lot, by the way, in Miami Beach is you don't see a ton of Mexican entries. You got all South America, you got a ton of Central America. You don't see a lot of Mexican, but there is an operation in Miami Beach, a Mexican place. It's called Tequiza. They do a really, really good job on primarily, making good tacos. They do good tacos, but they also have an item on their menu, which is more of a breakfast food. It's called chilaquiles. And I would say chilaquiles shows up for me as one of my top breakfasts in the world. You basically take super kind of crispy tortilla chips and you cover them with a sauce or a salsa, and then the choice is going to be a red kind of a tomatoey based salsa, or it can be a green sauce, and then on top of that goes cheese, usually a cotija, like a white Mexican cheese. And then on top of that go, a couple of those scrambled eggs we just made, or in my case, a couple of over easy or sunny side up. That's a glorious breakfast. It's called chilaquiles. Before I expand a little bit further into delicious food from around the world, because that seems to be the thematic here, is I'm located here, but then I'm eating the food from 5 or 6 different countries, and now I'm starting to reminisce about some of the food I miss from not having spent the last year traveling. I'm just one of those people that was fortunate to have gotten out to many places, to have explored different countries, different continents, different cuisines, and so, I miss that. I miss that. But anyway, I miss that in the context that I'm going to tell you about the food. Now that I'm thinking about chilaquiles, I'm going to skip over this discussion of chicken, because people have just, I make it all the time. I had it tonight. I'm looking at leftover chicken as we speak. But I'm going to segue into this other piece, which is that I miss, and I'm sorry to be jumping around, it's just that kind of evening. But the theme now is going to be international food, international places that I've been, places that I'm going to recommend, places mostly that I miss, and I can't wait to get back to travel. And the biggest question that I have for myself, think about this, the biggest question that I have for myself, ask yourself the same question, is when you can get up and move, not only where you're going, but specifically, do you go to a place, well, putting aside that you're going to want to go to a place where you know people, let's just assume that that's part of the game. Like, okay, your family's in Bogota, Colombia, that's fine, they're in Kansas City, wherever they are. That's one thing. But I guess what I'm saying is in the world of, okay, now I want to go to some place that I just want to go. I just want to be at. Do you go to a place that you've been to? Here's my question. Do you go to a place that you've been to before? Because you know that going there is a happy place for you. Because it's where? Because it's by the water. Because it's in the forest. Because it's in the mountains. Because it's in a city. Because because it's on the beach. Whatever it is that is your thrill. The question to you is: are you going to a place that you know and love, or knowing what you know about the new world and how things have changed and how you want to approach your life moving forward? The question is: do you go to a place you've never been? You go to a place that's on your bucket list. So, you have to think about it for yourself. For me, I've been in a lot of places, and I'm a variety junkie. So I look forward to going to places that I haven't been. That's stimulating for me. That said, I'm now going to tell you about a half a dozen or so of the places that I had been around the world that I loved and that I miss and that I would love to go back to. I'm starting tonight with Ireland, because it was in the news today, and that's what reminded me of this whole little this whole little segment here, or pod. I had never been. I'm not even sure where it was on my list of places to go, but I was invited to go. I accepted the invitation, and I loved that trip. Spent about a week there, and we drove all over the country. And I found it beautiful, and it's predominantly green. It's Ireland is a lot of grass, and with that grass, there are a lot of cows. And with those cows, there is a ton of steak. And very good steak, grass-fed steak. Excuse me. Grass-fed steak, which is different from what we here in America generally eat. I think a lot of ours is predominantly corn-fed. But I found the country beautiful. And the people are charming, and the food just really super delicious and thoughtful. And I mean, you have to laugh. This place has made me laugh when I thought of Farm to Table. They've been doing Farm to Table here basically forever. I mean, you're surrounded by farms, the fruits, the vegetables, the steak, the whatever, the chicken, the pork. It comes from the farm. It goes to the table. It's beautiful, beautiful country. And I enjoyed the city of Dublin, biking around that city. I find that always to be a thrill. So hats off over there to Ireland. I miss, I could generalize and say, I love France. But as much as I like various parts of France, I think there's something for me still, as a city guy, I have a particular appreciation for Paris. And like, no matter how many times you go, I'm happy to go there. I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to absorb there. I'm happy generally to walk there because I like the sights. I like the way the people look. I certainly like going into one, gourmet market after another, and then a farmer's market, and then a museum, and then a neighborhood. Yeah, Monsieur Paris, Monsieur baguettes, Monsieur cheese. But when I go back, I think what I most look forward to is oysters and what they called boulettes with a bottle of cold white wine seated outside. That appeals to me. The boulettes are they're very hard. They translate into like periwinkles. If we had to translate them, they're in a little shell, and you kind of pull out the meat, if you will, from inside that shell, and it comes with like a little sauce that you dip it in, and they are, admittedly, a little bit chewy, but to me, that's part of the appeal. They have this beautiful chew, and they come with a lovely, I'm going to say probably it's a little bit, I don't know, mustardy, mayo, that kind of thing. A beautiful little dipping sauce. Oysters up and down anytime. Give them to me fresh. Oysters in France, always delicious. White wine, whatever it may be. It can be a Chablis, it can be a Sancerre, it can be a, Sauvignon Blanc, whatever your thing is. Paris, forward to coming back one day. Spain. So many lovely parts, so much culture, so much wine, and a lot of pig. Whether you get it in the form of sliced ham, pata negra, jabugo, I don't know. They have ham that is so good in Spain that they would tell you, and you could easily make a case it's the finest ham in the world. And, of course, the people from Parma will dispute that because they will say that it's their prosciutto, and they are both outstanding, delicious, special pieces of the pig. The other thing about Spain, though, is they roast a beautiful pig, and their wines are great, and yeah, that's a beautiful place to be. Also, when it comes to England, and I know that I'm focused right now on Europe, but I'm gonna move to another place momentarily. When it comes to England, I gravitate again to the big city, and there's just something still, all these years later, that's special about London, England. It feels good to be there and to see their way of life and how they get around, and the appreciation for the art and the park and the culture and the theater. Just never unhappy being over there and having just killer martinis at great old bars and fabulous Indian food. Looking forward to getting back to England. And Italy, I don't know, a lot of people, when I pose the question, I have guests on the show all the time, and I mean, I've had on authors, and I've had on journalists, and I've had on wine specialists, the editor of Wine Spectator magazine, and people like that. I've had on your celebrity chefs. I've had on, like, chefy chefs. Some of the greatest chefs in the world. And one of the things that I ask people is that if they could pick any city to live in for the rest of their life, strictly on the basis of the food, what would it be? What city would it be? And you can easily see how people would say, France, or people would say Italy. And yeah, I mean, I was going to say about Italy that I'll be back there too. I love Italy. I love Rome. I love Florence. I love all the little cities. And I want pasta. When I go there, the food is amazing. Right? I mean, I want great pasta. I want cacio e pepe down around Rome. I want puttanesca. I want pasta, and I do want in Florentine. I mean, in Florence. I mean, I think you want a Florentine bistecca fiorentina. I think you want a nice piece steak. Italy, yeah. Let's not forget Italy when it comes to food. I think a lot of people would go, Italy, and I could totally get that and appreciate that, but. My answer to that question has been, we change, has been Tokyo. I thought the food there was amazing, and part of what made it amazing wasn't only the care that they put into it. It was the and not only the variety of the way foods are prepared there, and I'm talking about on a grill, I'm talking about in a fryer, I'm talking about in a wok. I mean, raw, right? I mean, there's a lot of different styles and specialties, so much so that you can go to a restaurant where they serve nothing other than eel. I mean, you literally walking into a place and it's like, how do you want your eel? So I always felt like if I had to live in a place for the rest of my life strictly on the basis of food, I was going with Tokyo. I just thought it was amazing. All the different foods, and then I found myself, a year ago, or just prior to maybe a year and a half, I found myself in Singapore. Holy crap! I had heard what was going on there food-wise. I couldn't have imagined, though, what I ended up encountering, which was. Let me put it this way. I spent 5 days in Singapore. I made a point of having 15 meals, 3 meals a day for 5 days. Of the 15 meals, they came from 15 different cuisines, 15 different countries. I mean, Chinese, Japanese, Indian, Singaporean, Laotian. I had the variety there was one thing. But man, the quality of the food, the just was amazing, including going to those what they call the hawkers stalls. You go to like a market at night where there's just like 80 or 100 stalls, each one serving their own different kind of food. Yeah, from a food perspective, man, Singapore really blew me away. Missed that. So who knows? Who knows where we're going? Who knows when we're going? I'm just looking forward to going, and I'll go anywhere. I mean, I'm pretty sure my next trip is going to be to, on a plane, is going to be to Madison, Wisconsin. I'm happy about that. It's right in the middle here of America. It's a lovely city with a beautiful capital. It's located on the shore of a lake. It's a super big college town, and it has one of the probably top 10 farmers markets in America, Madison, Wisconsin. I will not go to Madison, Wisconsin and miss out on the Madison Farmers Market because that's just great. That's 4 blocks around the capital of probably, 200, 300 different vendors with everything from, the fruit and the vegetable and the flowers and the bread to the cheese and to the bratwurst and whatever it is. That's quite a place. So anyway, a lot of places to go, a lot of things to do, and here's what's coming up. Okay, I'm not going to prolong this beyond the next couple of things that I will announce to you. One of which is that I am going to be teaching a class, and if times had not changed and were not interrupted by by a pandemic, I would be doing this live in New York City at a place called the 92nd Street Y, which is a long-time cultural institution in that fabulous city of New York. But since the pandemic, we've changed, like as they like to say in the business, pivoted, and so now that class that I'm going to give, that I would be in person but is now online, is available to you or to anybody in the world. And the class is called The Delicious Dozen. These are the 12 herbs and spices that will change your life. It's about the 5th or 6th time that I've given this. It's a 90-minute session. I believe they charge you $20 for it. You can watch me do my work live, where I talk about 12, at least, herbs and particularly spices and spice blends that add magnificent flavor to your food. And why does that matter? Because number one, you want a terrific flavor, and number two, because you're bored eating the same old thing all the time. Well, here's the easiest way to take something that is mundane, something that is ordinary, something that is normal, and make it fantastical. Because I am going to tell you about 12 herbs and spices that are readily available to you. Again, you're a push button away from having your food taste like it just came out of the Middle East. Hello? You go to 92y.org. You with me? 92 letter y.org / I guess that's the backslash, they say. Class / follow me here. It's the-delicious-dozen. Okay, 92y.org. Let's start there. /class / the delicious dozen, and you take in the and delicious and dozen, and you put a little dash in between the and delicious and a little dash in between delicious and dozen, and it'll show you basically what I'm going to be talking about, and a little bit about me, which you now know because we've been together for these 50 minutes. You know how to scramble eggs because I gave you 6 insights into how to make more perfect eggs. You know that you should come visit Miami Beach because it's kind of fun and kind of fabulous and kind of delicious. So that's good. You know, because I recommend things that if you like tea at night, holy crap, you got to get your hands on Bengal Spice from Celestial Seasonings. They don't pay me to do that. They don't. Here's my attitude about recommending anything. If anybody wants to pay me, I'll consider it, but I do everything in full disclosure. So if they paid me, you would know. If I get anything from anything that I do, I would tell you. I am into the full disclosure. I have no relationship with Celestial Seasonings, but I got 6 boxes in my kitchen. probably 20. How many are in each one? I don't know. It's a lot of tea, but holy crap, that's good tea. I have it every night. Who's kidding who? Tea. I have a book. Why would you buy my book? You're in Estonia, and you're going, I don't know, this guy, America, I don't know. Here's why you're going to buy my book called Short Order Dad, One Guy's Guide to Making Food Fun and Hassle-Free. Why did I write a book? And the answer is because my wife made me. Because, half the time, that's why you do things. Somebody bugs you for 10 years, you go, I'll write the freaking book already. But here's why I wrote the book. I spent a year in professional cooking school. I have a professional culinary degree. And so I'm trained. I used to not be. I could still cook, but now I cook and I know kind of, more specifically what I'm doing. And I cooked all the food at home while, I had a family growing up there. And so, the wife rightly says, why don't you tell everybody how to do what it is that you do? So this book is not meant for fathers. It's not meant for mothers. It's not meant for the kids. It's meant for basically anybody that wants to know how to get the most taste with the fewest ingredients and the least effort. Okay, I mean, I admit it. I'm a little... I don't know if lazy is the proper word. I'm just saying, if I can get the most taste with the fewest ingredients and the least effort, that's a winning formula for me, right? So I take advantage of the fact that I went to cooking school. You don't have to. And I write a book. And the book has 100 recipes, which I'll tell you that 95 of them probably have, like I said, like 6 ingredients max, 95% of them. But you're not really buying it for the recipes. Allow the recipes to come to you at the end after you've picked up what I put down in the book, which is like the stuff that you need to know. Here are the things that you should put into your pantry, right? Like these are the things that you should have on hand so that you can always prepare something great even at the last minute, right? So I talk about that. I talk about the tools. A lot of people make a big deal about tools and about gadgets. I have too many, and I don't use most of them, but you do need 5 or 6 things in the kitchen to be proficient. The tools matter in the same way that it matters if you're going to play a game, if you're going to go bowling, your shoes and the ball. If you're going to play golf, you want a decent club. If you're going to do tennis, ski, whatever your sport thing is, fishing, perfect. You know what I mean? I suppose you could fish with any freaking rod in the world, but let's face it, there's some better equipment, there's some isn't. In the kitchen, you need 5 freaking tools. I tell you what they are in the book. And I talk about like what you need to know when you go shopping, like what you're looking for. Whether you go to the supermarket or whether you go to wherever you pick up your food. I kind of give you a heads up over there. But the most important to me, again, I went to cooking school. You don't have to. I translated the 10 fundamental techniques that you need to know to cook in the kitchen. I put that on the page. So I talk about the 10 techniques, what you need to know, for example, about, what does it mean to saute? What does it mean to roast? How do you steam? What's the right way to braise? These are the things that I put down in the book. And then eventually you have 100 delicious recipes that you can make for your friends, you can make for your family, you make for yourself. Short Order Dad, One Guy's Guide to Making Food Fun and Hassle-Free. If you want to find me in the world of social media, you can. On the Instagram, which generally includes pictures of things that I have either made or eaten. You're going to see some ceviche up there and octopus. I'm Real Rob Rosenthal on Instagram. However, if you're a person that likes to tweet in the Twitterverse, you can find me at Short Order Dad. And that's on Twitter, Short Order Dad. And if you are a person who Facebooks, I have a Facebook page. It's called Short Order Dad. I'll confess, I don't visit it very often, but you certainly can if you want. All right, so you got the class. You got the book, you got the social media, you got me, Rob Rosenthal, live in Miami Beach, Florida. Episode 104 of All You Can Eat. Next week I'll bring you a guy named Danny Meyer, the foremost restaurateur in the United States of America. And so, Jimmy, I'm going to sign off by saying life is short, so never waste a meal.